Scooby. Hi, I'm Scrappy Doo.
Scrappy Doo?
Let me at him! Let me at him! Let me at him! Let me at him!
Scooby, Scrappy Dappy Doo, Scooby,
Scrappy Dappy Doo!
Scooby, Scrappy Dappy Doo.
Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta! Puppy power!
Scrappy Doo?
Uncle Scooby? Scrappy Dappy Doo!
Scooby-Dooby-Doo?
Hello again, my meddling Scooby-Doo fans, and welcome to another review into the world of Scooby-Doo. So yesterday, I continued my reviews of Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo with a review Season 2, Episode 3B of Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We talked about how it was another terrible and bad short as always, due to the fact that there was no villain, no motive, no atmosphere, and the setting was kind of generic and dull. But of course today, I'll be covering Season 2, Episode 3C of Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo, titled Stuntman Scooby, which was released on November 22nd, 1980. The short synopsis of the third short is, the guys get jobs as actors on a set, but little do they know, they have become the new stuntmen who are needed for some dangerous stunts. So normally I would tell you guys what DVD I'm watching this particular episode of Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo on. Unfortunately, Seasons 2 through 4 of Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo have yet to be released on any sort of physical media or DVD. So, just like in my past Season 2 reviews, and for future Season 2, 3, and 4 reviews, and for the purpose of this review, I will be watching the short online, so apologies in advance for the quality of the short. Now, as far as the short's reception is concerned, I'm not really sure how fans feel about this particular short, but I and most of the Scooby-Doo community consider the shorts to be terrible, so I'm assuming it's not viewed very highly. But with that being said, what do I think of this particular short? Do I think it's a good and underrated short? Do I think it's another terrible and bad short that continues the trend of this series and the trend of these shorts? Or is it an average, decent, middle-of-the-road short? Well, let's find out, shall we? So let's take a look at the short to see whether I think it is a good or bad short of Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo. The short begins with Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy in a snowy mountain, which is revealed to be part of a set. They participated in Gigantic Studios' super-duper movie tour. When the trio entered the next film scene, the director mistook them as stuntmen. This caused the trio to misunderstand that they were going to be actors. Scrappy tried to correct him, but Shaggy put a stop to this and convinced the pup to go along with it for fame and fortune. Their first role was being helpless witnesses to Bing Bong. However, Scrappy ruined it by playing inside the monster. Their second role was being trapped victims of the skyscraper fire. Like before, the pup directed by successfully escaping the building and spraying the director with water from the fire hose with Shaggy's and Scoob's minor assistance. Even the trio just escaping from the towering kindling counted. After these two disastrous scenes, the gang got one more chance in a deserted island scene. Shaggy's and Scooby-Doo's role were being captured sailors, and Scrappy's was being Mauna Loa's little brother. When the director ordered a hurricane scene, Scrappy finally had enough and trudged through the strong winds, and the pup realized it was the fan mimicked as a hurricane and turned it around and blew it onto the director's position. Once the scene was called off, the director gave them a job as trash collectors, and the short ends with them begrudgingly doing their job.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo?
I'm going to give Season 2, Episode 3C of Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo 1 star out of 5. So yeah, no surprise here, another bad short, same as per usual. Not much to really say about this short. It's the same old, same old. I don't really have any positives for it. I tried to look for some. Really wasn't any. So I'm just going to go right into the negatives and explain why the short is bad in my opinion. So starting with the negatives, my first one is that Fred, Daphne, Velma are completely absent from the short. Like I've said plenty of times, and I'm going to continue to say until they're back. I don't like when any member of the gang is missing. Every member of the gang is vital to the story. I don't like additional characters, but I also don't like when any members of the gang are missing or are subtracted. All 5 core members of the gang are important to the story, and so if any of them are missing, to me it feels pointless to have any of them missing. There should be no reason why any member of the gang isn't in the story. So yeah, I don't like that Fred, Daphne, Velma are not in this particular short. Then we have Shaggy and Scooby. Shaggy and Scooby were pretty weak in the short. They weren't their usual funny, cowardly selves. They didn't really, fulfill their basic roles or were that noteworthy. They kind of were just focused on, like, getting fame and fortune by being actors. They kind of were just chasing, like, this opportunity, and unfortunately that presented itself, and unfortunately it didn't pan out. But yeah, Shaggy and Scooby didn't really stand out in their usual ways, and they really didn't fulfill their basic roles. They weren't really that noteworthy. They just were kind of there. Next, we have Scrappy. Scrappy was also weak in the short as well. He wasn't annoying in his usual ways. He didn't beat up innocent people or create stupid traps. He just kind of wasn't really that noteworthy. He didn't really do anything of note. He was just kind of there, like Shaggy and Scooby, and didn't really do much other than, basically not understand that they were actors or stuntmen, and basically, fixed every problem that was presented to them, because the director really gave them no directions. So I can't blame Scrappy, Shaggy, or Scooby for doing the things that they did, because they weren't really given directions on what exactly they needed to be doing. So yeah, Scrappy wasn't really that noteworthy, but neither was Shaggy and Scooby. They just were kind of there. There was also no villain in this short. I really hate that. This is the second short in a row where there's no antagonist or villain to the story. The director's not an antagonist. He's just a guy that basically mistakes Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy for stuntmen. Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy think that they're, actors because the guy calls them actors rather than stuntmen. I don't know why. He could have just told them that they were stuntmen, but instead he called them actors, which was weird. But yeah, it was more so just like they were doing set piece after set piece after set piece, and there wasn't really an antagonist or overlying, antagonistic force to the story, just the director telling them what to do. So yeah, I really hate that there's no villain to this particular story. I hate that this is the second short in a row where there's no villain. Like I said before in the last short review, hopefully this won't be a trend, because it's a lot harder to review when there's not even really a villain at all in the short. There's also no outside of costume element. This is because there's no villain in the short, so there's no real or, fake monster or ghost or, anything of the sorts. It is literally just, like I said, just a bunch of set pieces. So there's no mystery to the villain's identity because there's no villain. There's also no suspects in the short. This is also due to the fact that because there's no villain, there's no pool of suspects to gauge from, because there's no outside of costume element either. So there's no pool to gauge from on who, could potentially be the man or woman behind the mask, because there's no villain that's dressed up in the short. There's not even a real villain or like a real monster or ghost. It is literally just devoid of any villain in general, so there's no pool of suspects to gauge from at all. There's also no motive in the short. That's because, again, because there's no villain, there's no motive in the short. There's no goal for, any antagonist in the short. It is literally, like I said, just a bunch of set pieces. There's no goal for an antagonistic force or a villain. It is because there's no villain at all in the short. So because there's no villain, there's no goal that the villain's trying to achieve, because he's not there. He doesn't exist in the short. There's also no mystery in the short. There's no lingering questions that I want answers to. There's literally no sense of mystery at all in the short. It is literally, like I said, just a bunch of set pieces of Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy being stuntmen. There's no overlying mystery to the story. It's pretty plain and simple on what the story is. It's just a basic case of misunderstanding and Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy chasing fame, thinking that they're going to be actors, not realizing that they're being mistook for stuntmen, doing set pieces as stuntmen, not really, working out as stuntmen, and then just end up just being, trash boys at the end, essentially. There's also no clues in the short. There's no clues at all, because there's no mystery that Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy found to narrow down the list of suspects, because there's no pool of suspects, or to help point towards a motive, because there's no motive, because there's no villain. There's also no atmosphere in the short. I felt no tension or suspense or creepiness or eeriness from the setting or the villain, because there is no villain. I wasn't fearing for the gang's safety. I wasn't on the edge of my seat wondering what was going to happen next. Didn't find anything creepy or eerie about the setting, or the villain, because there's no villain. It is completely devoid of any sort of atmosphere. It is literally just Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy basically doing a bunch of set pieces as stuntmen. Not really that enthralling. There's no sense of atmosphere at all. And my final negative is I found the setting of the short to be weak as well. So the main setting of the short is Gigantic Studios. Gigantic Studios is a movie studio, and it doesn't really feel that different from past settings like it. I mean, we've had movie studio settings before, like in the Sandy Duncan episode, so it doesn't really stand out in any way. I know, I believe there was some references to, like, at least 2 movies in the short, but I would have liked some more references to, like, mainstream pop culture movies at the time in 1980. I think it would have been cool to see, that pan out, since it was close to the end of the year, like, kind of make reference on, the popular movies of that year, and Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy doing stunts that, kind of reflect that year. I think that would have been cool. It probably would have made it stand out, too, because the set pieces Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy do is essentially, they do a monster one, which kind of looks somewhat similar to King Kong. Then they do, like, a burning building one, which isn't really that interesting. But I believe it's a reference to Towering Inferno, a movie that came out that year, though I'm not too sure. I could be wrong on that. And then there's, like, the set based on an island hurricane. They're on a deserted island and a hurricane comes. I would have liked some more mainstream 1980 movies that, were pretty well known in the pop culture, at the time, and Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy kind of going on these set pieces that had those similar stuff. Especially ones that showcased, like, great stunts that year. That would have been cool. It probably would have made the setting stand out. As it stands, the setting kind of feels a bit been there, done that, a little bit generic. It just doesn't have much flavor or flair to it. I think if it had more set pieces that reflected the time it was in, if we had more nods to movies of the 1980, the year 1980, basically popular movies or even smaller ones, that were well known to the public, and Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy were, like, doing set pieces based on these movies. I think that could have been cool, because it would have been a nice reflective time capsule of the time. But as it stands, it's not really that engaging of a setting. It's like, we've been to movie lot settings before, movie studios before. It's not really any different from past settings similar to it. Overall, guys, I would personally not recommend this short to fans and newcomers to the show. It's just another time waster of a short. It's 7 minutes that I'll never get back. It's the same old, same old. It's not a great short. These shorts just feel all the same. They just don't really have much nuance or flavor to them. There's not much story or plot. It is literally just set pieces and wacky hijinks and shenanigans. Sometimes there's glimpses or slight flashes of hope in, like, 2 shorts, but most shorts tend to fall flat and aren't that great. And I still got so many more to go, and it's just going to be like, if this is the experience I'm going to have to deal with, it's really going to be a rough couple of months talking about these shorts, because there's not much to say about them. They just don't, there's not really much to provide about them. I'm happy to give them, some airtime and talk about them and get discussions going on them, but they're definitely not that great to watch or review. So I cannot wait to get to the next show where we'll at least get some kind of mysteries and some story again. As it stands, this is just another time waster of a short that you really shouldn't bother with. It's not worth your time. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Please give a like if you did. Comment down below your thoughts on the short. Do you like the short? Do you think I'm being too harsh on it? Do you disagree with me? Do you think there are more positives that you see that I don't see? Do you hate the short? I'd be interested in that as well. Do you agree with me? Do you think this is an awful and terrible short? Or maybe you think it's below average and has some positives, but it's still terrible? Or are you somewhere in the middle where you think it's average and decent and okay, but it's neither good nor bad? I'm curious for your thoughts, so let me know. And subscribe for more Scooby Doo content like this, or if you're just interested in any other content, obviously I have more Scooby Doo reviews on the way. This is a Scooby-focused channel, so we cover all things ranging from the TV shows, movies, video games, and books. So if you're a diehard Scooby Doo fan like me and love talking all things Scooby Doo, or even just a casual and a newcomer who wants to get into Scooby Doo or hasn't watched Scooby in a while and likes, joining in on discussions of Scooby Doo, and wants to join in on each individual discussion for each individual TV show episode review, movie review, video game Let's Player review, or book review, then basically just come join the channel and experience some amazing Scooby Doo content. In my next video, I will continue my reviews of Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo with a review Season 2, Episode 4A of Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo. titled Scooby's 3 Ding-a-Ling Circus. I'm not really sure what to expect with this short, but I'm considering it's probably going to be terrible like all the other shorts. Probably going to be the same old, but you never know. So, if you want to know my thoughts on Season 2, Episode 4A of Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo, Scooby's 3 Ding-a-Ling Circus, then come join me next time. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, peace out.
Uncle Scooby? Hi, I'm Scrappy Doo.
Scrappy Doo?
Let me at him! Let me at him! Let me at him! Let me at him!
Scooby, Scrappy Dappy Doo. Scooby,
Scrappy Dappy Doo!
Scooby, Scrappy Dappy Doo.
Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta! Puppy power!
Scrappy Doo?
Uncle Scooby? Scrappy Dappy Doo!
Scooby Dooby Doo?